Welcome back to the very unofficial travel guides on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time. We're going to talk about Royal Caribbean A to Z. It is Sunday, November 3rd. Halloween is finally over. I love Halloween, but it was a very stressful week for me. I had a lot to do. It had a lot to do with my job and some other projects I'm working on, things that I can't talk about here. But yeah, let me just suffice to say, I had a great Halloween week, but I am glad Halloween is over and I'm looking forward to just a little bit of more peaceful time now. And the video that I am doing today, Royal Caribbean A to Z, was something that I got inspired to do by Molly at All Ears Net, who I don't know, who I've never met. I just enjoy watching her videos as well. And she has some videos on her channel where she goes to the Disney parks and goes through like Disney snacks A to Z and things like that. And I thought, you know what? I want to do that about Royal Caribbean. So here we go. I have gone through the entire alphabet. Like, why would I say I've gone through half of the alphabet? And for every letter, except for one, I could think of or come up with something Royal Caribbean related that had a meaning to me or that I thought would be interesting for you if you have cruised on Royal Caribbean, if you've never cruised on Royal Caribbean, or if you've never cruised at all. Starting with A for Anthem of the Seas. So, Anthem of the Seas is one of the most innovative cruise ships that I've ever been on. It is one of the newer of the Royal Caribbean fleet, and it is considered a quantum class. So the first of this class of ship is the Quantum of the Seas, and then it's been cloned several times, and so the following, members of that family are in the Quantum class, but they have their own names. And I was on the Anthem of the Seas for a cruise from Bayonne, New Jersey to Bermuda and back, and it was fantastic. And some of the other points that I've written down here are related to that as well. But let's move on to B for Boardwalk. So on the Royal Caribbean Oasis class, so the very first of those was Oasis, and then there's also the Harmony and the Allure, and there's a few others now that I just can't think of. They have these different neighborhoods on board. So first of all, these are the biggest cruise ships that you can find anywhere. They are gigantic. And like I said, they have neighborhoods. So they have Central Park, which we'll be talking about in a second, and the Boardwalk, for instance. And the Boardwalk is an open air area on the back of the ship with the Aqua Theater, which is an outdoor water theater situation on the back. A couple restaurants with outdoor seating. They've got balconies on both sides that are outside but looking to the inside of the ship. It's becoming complicated to explain. And it has a cool sort of, boardwalky Coney Island, but in a nice way kind of flair. Moving on to C, and another one of these neighborhoods, Central Park. Central Park is further to the middle of the ship on the Oasis class ships, and tying it into T, it has trees. There are real plants and trees growing in Central Park, and it's a really cool area that's unlike anything I've experienced on any of the other ships I've been on. It's just so peaceful, and you really feel like you're in a park, but it's on a cruise ship. I mean, and if you look to the right and left, you see balconies, but there are parks that are very small, like Gramercy Park in New York, so yeah, it could be a real park, right? Moving on to D for diving show. On the Oasis class of ships, like I said, at the back of the Boardwalk, it's all tying together now that I sit down here and talk about it. At the back of the Boardwalk, there is the Aqua Theater, and they do really innovative shows there that involve aerial acrobatics, swimming, synchronized swimming, and high diving. And these people are diving off of really high platforms into a relatively small pool on a moving cruise ship. So I hope they're getting paid enough money. Moving on to E for Empress of the Seas. The Empress of the Seas is the smallest in the Royal Caribbean fleet of ships, and it came to life as a ship that cruised to Cuba and back. And now that that's not possible anymore, I honestly have to tell you, I don't know what it's doing. Did any of you get the chance to cruise on the Empress to Cuba and back? How was it? I saw it. We saw it while we were in Miami. We did one of these boat tours around the stars' homes and stuff like that. And it went right past us. And it just seemed small for a cruise ship. And I wonder, what it would be like to cruise on a ship of that class. So if you've done it, write me a little something in the comments. Moving on to F for FLOWRIDER. FLOWRIDER is one of the really cool things. It was another innovation that Royal Caribbean created. So the first time there was ever this kind of thing on a cruise ship, it was on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. And what it is it is one of these surf simulators. So like an artificial wave that you can bodyboard or surf on. And many of the larger Royal Caribbean ships have them, and some of them even have 2 of them. So it's a really cool thing that you can do while you're on your cruise vacation on Royal Caribbean. By the way, if you want to know if the ship that you're going to be on has any of these things, just look at the Royal Caribbean website, or you can also ask me in the comments below. All right, G is for the Grandeur of the Seas, another one of Royal Caribbean's great ships. And I haven't cruised on the Grandeur of the Seas, but I have cruised on classes that were similar to it, and it's Royal Caribbean, so it's not like you can really do anything wrong. Moving on to H, and a ship I have cruised on and definitely would cruise on again, the Harmony of the Seas. At the time that I cruised on the Harmony, it was the biggest cruise ship. I decided I'm not going to say it. It was a great big cruise ship, and I also had a fantastic time on there despite, and I know I've mentioned this a lot, having a little accident and ending up in the ship emergency room and getting stitches on my foot. But the Harmony of the Seas is also just a gigantic ship in the Oasis class with the boardwalk, with the aqua theater, with the trees in Central Park. And I would love to cruise on that ship or that class of ship again, especially now that the Oasis is being updated and upgraded. Good things. Moving on to I. So, on the Anthem of the Seas, on the Quantum class, they have iFly skydiving simulators. And that is definitely, people ask me to pick favorite things all the time, and I'm really bad at picking favorite things. But the iFly skydiving simulator on the Anthem of the Seas is definitely the favorite cruise ship activity I have ever done. It's one of these tubes with a gigantic fan at the bottom, and you get in there and it's like skydiving. You float in the air and it's so cool. And if any of these things I'm talking about seem interesting to you and you're like, oh, wait, I would like to see that, you can search for these videos in my library and then you'll be able to see them. I'm going to be talking about so many things that I'm not going to be able to put a link to all the videos in the description. I just don't have the time for that today. I'm sorry. But if you're interested in any of them, then, like I said, go under the video at the end, click on the magnifying glass, and then you can search for them in my library. Moving on to J, Johnny Rockets. In case you don't know, there are many restaurants on cruise ships that are included in the price of your cruise, and some of them you have to pay extra for. And Johnny Rockets is one of those restaurants on, I want to say, almost all Royal Caribbean ships. There may be some that don't have a Johnny Rockets, but most of them, I think, do nowadays. And I think it is the least expensive upcharge sit-down restaurant. Can anybody confirm or deny that? The last Royal Caribbean ship I was on was the Anthem of the Seas, and the Johnny Rockets on board had a different price structure because in the past, when I've gone to Johnny Rockets on Royal Caribbean, it's been pay one price and eat all you want. And then on the Anthem, it was order from the menu and pay for each item. What's that called again? A la carte. So, yeah, I don't know if it's like that on all the ships now, but if you want to do something a little bit different, and it's especially especially, did I say especially? It's especially fun if you are having a birthday celebration for like a teen. I think they do a good job with those kind of things. Speaking of teens, moving on to K, every Royal Caribbean ship has a kids club. They have actually different kinds of kids clubs, and they are separated depending on the age of your kid. So if you're worried that that your kid is not going to be, having a lot of fun hanging out with mom and dad the whole time, or if you're worried about mom and dad not going to have a lot of fun hanging out with the kid all the time, Royal Caribbean has got you covered. There are kids clubs for every level of kid up until, I think, 18. So, Kids Club K. All right, moving on to L, and this is something that a lot of you might not know, and actually it's something that I haven't talked about before and I've never experienced it, but I saw a little presentation about it and I looked at it on the website again. But Royal Caribbean is getting a new private island off the coast of, is it New Zealand or Australia, called Lalipa, or Lelepa, and if you look at the Royal Caribbean website, look at the pictures I'm showing you here, it looks amazing. It's not going to be open for a couple more years, but Royal Caribbean also has Coco Key down in the Bahamas, and they recently did some amazing upgrades to that, and now that sort of tropical paradise feeling is kind of gone, I think, from the pictures at least. I haven't been there since then, but Lalipa looks like it's going to be what Coco Key used to be, and that would be great. All right, what letter am I at? I am at M. Oh, and yeah, that's something that you will definitely find on every Royal Caribbean cruise ship, but before I tell you what it is, please forgive me for putting a little commercial right here. And we're back. So, we're back at M, and the thing that you will find on every Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and actually I think probably every cruise ship, is the main dining room. That is traditionally where people get a little bit dressed up and go out to dinner in the evening. You can sit with people from all over the world. You can meet people on your cruise, or you can sit just alone, depending on how you've got it set up. And if you have been watching a lot of my videos, you know that we usually don't go to the main dining room, but it's there, and it is a cruise ship tradition that I think everybody should experience. And some of the main dining rooms are also really cool things to look at. Moving on to N. Royal Caribbean has a huge fleet of ships, and one of their larger ships is the Navigator of the Seas, and I have cruised on the Navigator of the Seas in the Mediterranean, and recently the Navigator also got some upgrades. So, another great ship from Royal Caribbean, large ship, and it has, a couple of the features that I've mentioned already, including a FLOWRIDER. Moving on to another ship, another letter, the Odyssey of the Seas. It is a new ship coming to the fleet next year? Yeah, I think it's next year. It is also in the Quantum class, so it's going to be like the Anthem of the Seas, and it's going to have also some things that the Anthem of the Seas doesn't have. So another cool ship in the huge fleet of Royal Caribbean. Moving on to P. So this is a cool thing. Promenade. Many of the larger ships of Royal Caribbean, they have the Royal Promenade. And that's something that Royal Caribbean, as far as I know, created. Usually the inside of the ship, it's not just cabins. There are like open spaces that are like walkways between restaurants and shopping venues and bars and things like that. And on some of the older ships and on some other lines, they're like, curvy. I don't know how else to describe it. Let me just describe what the Royal Promenade is. The Royal Promenade is a large, open, avenue in the middle of the ship that goes basically from one side all the way to the other, and you've got bars and restaurants and nightlife and shopping and things like that on both sides of it. So it's like a street, but it's in the ship. And it's really cool, and I really appreciate having that on a ship because it gives you just sort of like a central place, and it really helps with your orientation about where's the front of the ship, where's the back of the ship, because it's open to several decks, and so you can sort of peek in there, and then we're at the back of the ship, or things like that. You know what I mean? So Royal Promenade, cool thing. on Royal Caribbean ships with the letter P. Moving on to Q. I've said it several times already. Quantum of the Seas. Don't need to talk about it anymore, although I could. Moving on to R. Rock climbing. I don't think that there is a Royal Caribbean ship that does not have a rock climbing wall. It's one of the things that I think Royal Caribbean started doing. I don't know. Can any of you tell me, was the first rock climbing wall on Royal Caribbean? I kind of feel like I read that somewhere. I also feel like I'm losing my voice. Do I sound hoarse to you? Sounds like I'm getting sick in the middle of this video. I honestly have to say, I don't think I have ever done the rock climbing wall on a ship. And I don't know why. I've done just about every other fun thing you can do on the ship. Haven't done rock climbing. Remind me to do that the next time I go on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Okay, S, another fun thing you will find on every Royal Caribbean ship, as far as I know, is the schooner bar, or do you call it the schooner bar? I honestly don't know what the right way is to say it, or if there is a right way, but let me know in the comments below also if you call it schooner, like S-K, or if you call it schooner, like S, like it's written. Maybe the answer is in the question. The schooner bar is a traditional bar that is nautically themed on every Royal Caribbean ship, at least every one I've been on. And that is a cool hangout for things like sing along with the piano or name that tune, trivia, things like that. And it's like a staple. You find it on all of their ships. I mentioned the trees in the Central Park already, so moving on from T, and let's get to U. All right, on the Harmony of the Seas, and coming up on the newly reimagined Oasis of the Seas, and I think on the Allure of the Seas. Shoot, I can't remember. There are two gigantic slides that go from one of the top decks all the way down to the boardwalk, and those are called the Ultimate Abyss, and I want to tell you something about them. They're not really that fun. I know, it's crazy. You look at these things, and they look so gigantic, and it is thrilling to be at the top of this and then know you're going to slide all the way down, but I find the traditional water slides on the ship much more thrilling and much more fun and much more re-rideable than those slides. But if you are on one of the Royal Caribbean ships that have them, definitely do it, just so you know what it's like. We're getting close to the end. We are already at V, and the V thing that I could think of on Royal Caribbean is Vintages, which is the wine bar. And I don't know if every Royal Caribbean ship has them, but I know most of the big ships that I've been on, I think they've all had them. So Vintages is the wine bar. And one cool thing that I noticed on the Anthem of the Seas is not only can you order from a bartender who, of course, can give you recommendations and, you know, maybe help you find something that fits your palate, but the Anthem of the Seas also had this like long wall of wine vending machines. Do you guys know what I mean? So it's like there's bottles of wine behind glass, and they've got like this pump in them. And then if you want a glass of that wine, you just go up to it, scan your SeaPass card, and then you pick how much you want. I think, you know, it's like 0.1 liters, 0.3 liters, or probably not 0.5, 0.4, I don't know. So you scan your SeaPass card, pick the amount, and then put your glass there, and then it pumps it out for you, and it's cool. And then you don't even need a bartender if you don't want one. Moving on to W, and another thing that you will definitely experience if you've been on any Royal Caribbean ship. Can you guys think of what it is I'm going to say? The Windjammer. The Windjammer Cafe is the buffet on all Royal Caribbean ships. That doesn't mean it's the only buffet. Some of them also have other dining options that are, well, let's say buffet-like. But the Windjammer is like the place to go and get a bite to eat. Most people go there for lunch. Marcus and I almost always go there for dinner. And yeah, we love the food there. We love trying different varieties of things. And I've made a lot of videos about the food on Royal Caribbean. All right, now I need your help. The next letter is X. And I couldn't really come up with anything concrete to talk about that started with X or even sounds like X. Can you guys think of anything? If you do, you know what to do. Write it in the comments below. And now we're at Y, which is also very difficult for me, but I just decided to say for Y, for me, it's if you ask me the question, do I wish I was on a Royal Caribbean cruise right now? The answer would be yes. Okay, and we're almost done. Now we are at Z, and Z is for Zipline. Yes, some Royal Caribbean ships, the Oasis class, have zip lines. I'm pretty sure also the first zip lines at sea. It's not very long, however, they're very high. And it goes over the boardwalk from one side of the pool deck and balconies over to the other side. And yeah, it's just a crazy thing to do on a cruise ship. And nowadays, other ships, like some of the bigger MSC ships, they have much longer zip lines, also like more than one, you know, like a zip line course. But as far as I know, the Oasis was the first one to have them, and that makes it cool as well. Wow, made it through the entire alphabet for Royal Caribbean. What do you guys think of this idea? Do you think I should do it for like specific ships? Do you think I should also do it for Norwegian cruise lines? Do you guys want to hear like my Disney A to Z, my Magic Kingdom A to Z? Let me know how you like this format, because I'm always looking for new ideas and new things to sort of spark the creativity. And please forgive me, I'm going to skip comment on your comments for this week because this video is already so long. And if you missed it, my Friday video that I uploaded a couple days ago is also almost a half an hour long. So that's just, you know, I only have so much time to edit these videos each week, and that's why I'm gonna leave out comment on your comments for this week. But I hope it will be back next week. Come back and see. See you then.